What's going on, guys? You're back again with Donny Greens, and I'm super pumped. I really owe you guys an update. It feels like I've been getting so much done around here. After seeing this video, you'll be the judge of that. As you may have noticed, I've been posting a lot more, so I actually redid my whole office, changed up the setup, kind of redid it a little bit, and added some lights and some different things. I'll show you that in the video. And then I just reorganized the garage, which is also the tray making room. Farm is fully operational. We are in cycle serving customers, and we've also been making some pretty good progress outside, although it still looks a little messy, I will warn you. Super pumped to be giving you an update, and there's plenty more content to come. But first, let's start off with some of this new media stuff. You know, actually, the guy who's helping me with it, he said to me today that the owner of a business should really be focused on two things: developing and sharing. And as an entrepreneur, I'm sure anybody who's an entrepreneur will vibe with this. I feel like I've just been developing for so many years, new ideas, new projects, and all that stuff. And recently I've realized that it's time to really hone it back in, focus on the few things that I care about, put a little bit more energy into them, because us entrepreneurs know that it's so much fun to ideate and develop new ideas and new projects. But at the end of the day, you have a business to run and you can't be spreading yourself too thin. So I'm excited to tune up my developing, reel it in and get it tighter, while also doing a whole lot more sharing and really focusing on the sharing side of things. So as I started working with this new team, they set me up with an awesome new setup. They made sure everything was in place, everything was on point. So I have two lights now. These weren't required, but I wanted these lights anyway. I have this one spotlight that goes into this big filter thing. I think the brand is Aperture, and the product is called the Mini Dome. And then I also have this Pavo light tube as well. So a little bit of lighting upgrades. The whole background I kind of just redid, make sure it looked very neat. I added a bookshelf up here, and actually I'm going to be strapping a light underneath that bookshelf. I can fit exactly 2 trays of microgreens under there, so that's super awesome. Plus, when I'm running the One Tray Away Challenge, which by the way, you can sign up at onetrayaway.com, I can be growing those trays of microgreens right under the lights in here. So perfect. This has also been great to kind of have my office back and in place, and really in a spot where I like it a lot, because previously I had taken over the den and or the living room depending on what I was doing. So it's great to have my own office. I'm set up here with my bae. She's right next to me now, so it's a pretty dope setup. And I'm just really pumped to be getting back to work as we come into the new year, nature's new year, the real new year. Not that January bullshit, that March good springtime bullshit. All right, anyway, super pumped about the spring. It is so great that springtime has sprung. The winter can be a little bit of a drag, but it's necessary to get that rebirthing process. So I very much feel like we're being reborn as we come into the springtime. And fun fact, my birthday was on March 17th. I'm a St. Patty's Day baby, and now I'm 30 years old. Can you believe it? Ugh. I guess that's fine. I'm pumped about my 30s. I have no complaints. I'm just excited to be getting this house going and growing my own food and growing my business. Speaking of which, let's go check out the Microgreens Farm, what it currently looks like in both spaces, the upper level and the lower level, because it's 2 levels. And then we'll head outside so I can show you what we've been doing out there. Check out these little babies. All the little seedlings. And this is the one big monster melon. Bunch of cucumbers. We're looking good. This is my first really successful attempt at growing vegetables, so we're getting it going this year. We put in some workout equipment. Gotta get in shape. Got our soil right here. Tray making over here. And what we did in here is there's a lot more cluttered in this space. So we also had a big pallet of seeds, which I moved onto the table. So now we have our soil behind the seed cabinet, and it's all been pushed back a bit. So we have a lot more space over here for sanitizing trays, as well as dumping trays. So this is a nice little area. It's been working out well for us. And so this is what the farm has been looking like so far. Got the fridge here, right next to the tray making tables. We also pack seeds down here. The trays we were using this rack for germination, but because it's so close to this door, which is like the coldest part of the room, we moved it into the room a little bit. So now we're using these racks over here. And we're definitely gonna switch off of these racks eventually because they're not super space efficient. You can only actually fit 2 per shelf, which is pretty terrible. So that was a mistake, but no big deal. We got some peas germinating right here. Come take a look at these. Got some nice fans going for airflow. This is our super that we ended up cutting down so we could make it into this part of the basement. And then everything's growing pretty well, besides the basil, obviously. These aren't looking too great. I didn't uncover them for a while because they just weren't germinating. And now they just look incredibly wonky. So we'll use that as an experiment and see what happens. But everything looks to be growing very well down here. I'm very impressed, very happy. Nothing's going wrong with the amaranth. Arugula is looking perfect. Everything just looks great. I'm very happy with everything. We did run into one little issue where the sunflowers, the yields were like cut in half. So I don't know if something went really wrong with my experiments where one of the controls was actually a variable and something got screwed up. But really what I think was the main issue was we used too low of a seed density. So we bumped up the seed density and now all the sunflowers are looking much better. I'm planning on getting much better yields. We're aiming for around 18 ounces off of the sunflowers right now. That's what I'm looking for. And kind of similar for the peas, honestly. I think around 18 or maybe 21, not 100% sure. But it's exciting. I can't wait to have this whole basement filled with plants, be making good money again, paying for the expenses, paying for the build out, and just using some of these profits into the future so I could afford this house and live on my grandparents' legacy. So let's go check out what we've been doing outside. That's been a lot of fun, really exciting. And also big shout out to a dude named James Prigioni from New Jersey. He's a YouTuber and he's big into like food forests and natural farming. So I've been kind of watching his YouTube videos and learning from him, and it's been a super huge help. So James, if you're seeing this somehow, big thanks to you, bro. Love your channel. And one of the reasons why I've been following James and watching James's videos is because he's in a very similar climate to me. He's in New Jersey, which is very close to Long Island. I believe we're in the same exact ag zone. So all of the varieties that he's using that he prefers because of the area, now I get to use that as well and just learn varieties that somebody else in my area already is loving. Not to mention all the tips that he's giving are gonna be relevant to me as well. So let's go outside and check it out. All right, before we step outside, we gotta check out this magical creature right here. Look at her. Here, give me the camera. Miss Margot. Hello, you little rascal. How are you doing? Got anything to say today? Got anything? I guess Henry was the big talker today. What do you have to say? Anything else? We've been teaching them how to use this button over here. They have been learning how to press it to go outside. So that's been pretty cool. Shout out to Fluid Pet. Not sponsored, but that's been awesome. But oh my gosh, look at this kitty. I'm obsessed with little Marco. Got anything? Nothing to say? Alright. It's okay. She's actually telepathic, so she doesn't need to talk. Alright, let's go outside. Me. Well, she's really saying I want to go outside. Tell us a little more. Come on. Anything else? Do you have anything else for us? Huh, Henry? Anyways. Ooh, it's getting nice out. All right, so we're on the back porch, and this is where we want to do a majority of the growing, right? As I learned from these other food forest guys, they say to plant the most used areas in the place where you're going to be having the most foot traffic. So right out the back door, I figure, is a great place to have a lot of the leafy greens and stuff that we want to be harvesting pretty consistently every day, that type of thing. So we've been using these birdie beds. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to grab a birdie bed. They've been pretty good, really easy to build. It seems like they're holding together really well. I've only had them for one season, but they've been working well, and they seem pretty sturdy. So in addition to the birdie beds, we have a few other things that we're doing. So over here is where we did cucumbers last year, and we screwed them up royally, but I learned a few new things about cucumbers. So I plan on having some great cucumbers this year. We're gonna basically put these metal trellises here that they can climb up, and this is a great sunny spot where the sun hits all summer long, and we can get a ton of cucumbers growing up this wall. The rest of this bed is mainly flowers, but slowly but surely, I'm hoping to get the flowers out, leave a few, of course, but start doing different flowers and also other edible foods. So been cleaning up the beds a little bit, nothing too crazy. And then over here, I actually extended this one bed out, and I'm connecting it over there. And what I did is I kind of tilled up the soil a little bit. I know I didn't have to till it, but I wanted to just break up the grass a bit to soften it up quickly. And so I did that, and then I loaded it up with wood chips that were already 1 year decomposed. I got these last year. And then we're gonna be able to move the wood chips aside and plant into the ground. So we'll be growing vegetables in here. We'll be planting probably 1 or 2 fruit trees, one over here and one over there. And then we have the metal climbing rails as well in this area for the climbers. Cucumbers, snap peas, we got a ton of both of those. And then I loaded up this area with some wood chips, and I did it the normal way where I put out cardboard, and then I just loaded wood chips on top of the cardboard, and then that will break down and kill everything underneath, which then we could plant a nice fruit tree there, I'm thinking. So we've been building out this wall, and I've been ripping out the fence around the pool because we're getting a new fence, and I've been burning it over time. And then what we're gonna do is this new fence is gonna come out to the outside this time. It's gonna come to the outside, and then this will be nice and fenced in. This rock wall will come in front of the fence to look nice on the bottom in front of it. And then kind of like along with the rocks will be fig trees. So we're gonna have fig trees coming out in front. We already have one planted down there. Then on the inside of the fence, this is gonna be a bed of soil. So on the inside, we're gonna have grapevines around the whole fence that we can weave into the fence, and it'll provide some privacy in the summer when the grapevines are popping, and it'll also provide a ton of food, right? So then also, I believe we could plant some other climbers to utilize that fence before we start getting heavy on the grape foliage. So that should be pretty cool. And then I want to do strawberries as a ground cover. So I figure getting the pool fence, because it has to be up to code and block people, specifically kids, from getting in there, it's gonna be pretty good at blocking animals as well. So I figure might as well utilize that space to grow a bunch of food, have it close to the house, and also wouldn't it be awesome to have a bunch of food just growing near your pool? You could be laying in the pool, eating some grapes, that'd be sick. All right, anyways, burning fires in there, moving wood chips from over here. We're starting to build a food forest area right here. So there'll be a fence because this is a nice sunny spot, and we can just build a nice square fence, a rectangular fence around here, and have a separate food forest area. But I'm thinking that's gonna be one for the future. Obviously, we've been managing some of the wood resources on the property. This is a chestnut tree looking nice. Ooh, look at all these deer droppings. Jeez. That's one of the big reasons why we want to put up these fences, to keep the deer out. We've been seeing non-stop deer droppings all over the property, which I guess is fine that it's fertilizing for now, but don't want it getting to the food. It's also been eating my fig tree like sticks that are coming out of the ground, my branches. So we've been chipping away at this wood chip pile. That's looking pretty good. Just chipping away at it over time, adding it where we need it. Then there's an apple tree in there that we chopped away, and we'll see if it puts out new branches. Who knows what'll happen, it hasn't produced in a while. And then we did a similar thing with the peach tree, kind of hacked it down and hopefully it'll regrow, but none of the fruit trees were really maintained properly on this property, so we're seeing what we can do. This tree finally fell over, just missed the shed, and it fell right in between two of my blackberry bushes, so that's great, worked perfectly, and then I chopped it up. Elderberry tree is looking great. It's starting to come back. You can see the foliage coming. Then these are 10 blackberry bushes down the line. And I'm very excited because these are all now 1-year canes. So these should all get fruit this season. So that's very exciting. And then it'll shoot out the new canes for next year, which now I know how to manage even better. Plus these are more established after being in the ground for a year. So all the canes will be thicker and more prolific. Very exciting. Just every year is just gonna get more and more exciting, I imagine. This is a tree that we hacked away. So what we think this tree is making is cherry plums, is what they appear to be. But maybe if we thin the fruit, maybe they're just plums, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens with this tree. Same thing with those that we hacked away. So now we're gonna try and make some of these strongest branches kind of branch out in different directions. Well, we've cleared out this whole area. These are 2 more elderberry trees. And then we did a great job clearing out this area, Alyssa and I. There's a lot of hacking away that we did and a lot of forsythia that we removed. And we left a few to see if they come back and look nice and pretty and yellow. But all these grapevines are actually the worst thing on the property. They are so invasive. You can see them all hanging off of this tree that we pulled a lot of them down, and we gotta get the rest down. And then that tree is just covered in them. It's crazy. And they just take over everything and kill everything. So it's terrible, and we're trying to manage that and get rid of those. And then this is what we want to be, a huge food forest. And then in the future, that will be a greenhouse in the food forest area. So from all the way over there to all the way over there, down the line, 3,500 square foot. That's what we want to do. And for this season, we want to get the fence up. We want to start like clearing this land and working with it. We've already started a little bit. And then we want to put in a coop for 3 chickens and 2 ducks potentially. At the very least, 3 chickens is what we want. So that way the chickens can start integrating with the land. We want this to be a symbiotic nature system here, so the chickens can help out in a big way, not to mention providing some food, the eggs. So we're gonna be clearing this out, fencing it off, getting in chickens, and I've been composting the microgreens over here, so we'll see what happens with that. I imagine the chickens will be taking their whack at those and ripping them apart and eating them, which will be great because we want these to break down as fast as possible to prevent buildups and animals potentially going in there and getting in there, living in there, eating it, stuff like rats. Anyways, I don't know. That's about it. We've kind of just been working out here, moving rocks, building beds, moving wood chips, and it's just a work in progress. So we're making progress over time, taking it day by day, and really looking forward to growing some of our own food alongside nature.